My friend Bobby died yesterday. He was a gentle giant of a man. He was a man with a deep and abiding faith devoted to his church community and his music ministry. He cared about his friends, loved his wife with all of his heart, and treasured his puppers, though he was still grieving her loss when he passed away. Bobby and I took a while to become friends. I thought he was just another religious nut, and he thought I was terrifying in my intensity. Of course, we were both right, and we were also totally wrong. And that's usually how those things go, isn't it? Those are usually the best friendships one can have. We became good friends during COVID. Each of us had major health issues in those years, and we needed a friend who understood. We also started deconstructing around the same time. Me for my health. Studies show that childhood trauma leads to negative health outcomes later in life, and him for his spiritual well-being. He struggled to reconcile the loving, charitable faith of his youth with the ugly political turn his church was taking. As I began this journey to make peace with these ancient tales, he found his way out of Christianity and became a follower of Christ. He didn't tell his church, nothing changed for him there. This was a quiet, personal journey. We took breaks when we needed to, and this channel exists in large part due to conversations with Bobby. In one of our many conversations, he said the best thing a friend can say, "I love your mind." And I loved his too. One of the things both of us struggle to understand is the meanness of many Christians. As I unraveled the tangled memories of childhood, he sorted through the bad behavior of lifelong friends in the faith, trying to understand where things had gone so wrong. I shared my Christian troll trophies with him, and we chuckled over how some people just need more love of Jesus in their lives. So, in honor of the memory of my dear friend, Brother Bobby, I want to share my Christian trollfish trophies and talk to all of you as I would have talked to my dear friend. Don't worry, all of these fish were gently unhooked and swam away free after the photo ops. The first of the big three whoppers is a fellow named Christopher Gibson. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Mr. Gibson's comments. He does tend to inflict himself upon the deconstruction spaces and agnostic channels, especially those that relate to religious trauma. He positively stalks H.G. Roberts and Mindshift. He takes particular delight in telling people that they're going to hell without ever using the word hell, so he can maintain plausible deniability that he ever did such a thing. Our conversations got so heated I asked him not to speak to me again. He's been mostly good about it, except when he basically called me demon spawn and totally given over to my own sin, which I'll take as a compliment, because now I know for certain that I got under his skin too. Touché. Mr. Gibson has inspired several art pieces, and I'm happily sharing this one here. On a side note, I will have you know my parents are very nice people, not demons at all, and my sin is apparently not liking Mr. Gibson, which I will gladly own. Bobby and I talked a bit about this fellow, but mostly about the parable of the sower. We talked about the various kinds of people who fall away from the church and what has really happened to them, because people aren't plants, are they? Those who spring up and then wither away, maybe I can relate to them a little. I was very excited about Jesus when I was 4, but by the end of 5, the cracks were already appearing. Things weren't making sense. Things were going wrong that should not be going wrong in any child's life. But it wasn't because of the word. It was the word being twisted into an evil thing, used to harm and control. Bobby saw that happening in his own church as conservative politics crept in, like a thorny vine strangling the goodness, compassion, and charity he once knew. Of course, we were both running with the analogy. That's not what the parable says. That's not what Jesus was talking about. But it's what we both saw in the story, because we all bring our own experiences to every tale. The second big fish is one fisher of men and his sidekick. And I have some suspicions that this may be an account that was blocked and came back under a different name, though I could be totally wrong, because these dudes are really a dime a dozen. They're almost always dudes, too, aren't they? I can't help the arrogance in the username, rather like Catherine Crick calling herself Apostle. This is a snippet of a conversation as multiple people were involved, and I wasn't comfortable screen capping everyone. The conversation opened with, "I love you and you're going to hell." Fisher notes that being nice and quoting Bible verses doesn't get him anywhere in terms of his evangelism, so he has resorted to being mean. Converting people out of fear is a shitty way of spreading genuine faith, and 4 of my minister friends were appalled at his behavior, and yes, I do tend to collect religious leaders as friends. What we all found most interesting is how this person goes on about false converts and then employs tactics that would lead directly to false and forced conversions. The thing that stood out to us was the undercurrents of fear and this twisted desire to see people harmed. Fisher both fears hell and is desperate for salvation, but also wants to feel superior in his saved status, so his streak of sadism is peeking out. He reminds me of the boy in the pond who held my friend under the water trying to drown her to get her to accept Jesus. Dear boy, you almost committed murder, and she still died an atheist. Cruelty is not a path to conversion. It is, however, a path to deconversion. The last is my current favorite, which made Bobby laugh so hard. I said, most Christians I know are total gems, but some online Christians need to learn about the love of Jesus they preach about so much, which garnered this absolutely unhinged rant. I asked if I should memorialize these words in thorny vines or a dead fish. Bobby laughed and said, I think it's art in how few words you employed to toast their tail feathers. We never did get to pick this one apart. He wasn't feeling well, and he went to bed. And sometimes life is far too short. Last night, before I knew my friend was gone, I told a Christian troll about the vision I had of Jesus at my wedding. He didn't understand why I didn't believe after having that experience, but friends, belief is not a choice. I didn't choose to lose my faith. I had a brain injury, and when I healed, my faith was gone. I did choose to leave Christianity as a child, and people like these guys were large parts of that rational decision. I didn't see love or goodness or redemption in the church. I saw hatred, arrogance, abuse, and a sick, twisted desire to be better than other people and to see them suffer for all eternity simply for not knowing or agreeing. Those were the cults I was raised in, and those are the attitudes these people are steeped in, and there is so much harm being done there. I could not stay and live, so I chose to leave. Bobby had the most beautiful faith. He lived his life in love, kindness, and charity. He didn't let political fads carry away his morality like so many people are doing today. Christianity needs far more followers of Christ like Brother Bobby. His memory will indeed be a blessing. Thank you for joining me on the Secular Scriptures, and I will see you next Sunday at 9 a.m.